So I've been getting a few comments here and there saying, hey, Cross, you never play Titan anymore. Which, inside of PvE, is kind of true. It's sad, but Shade Binder this season with Blink Watcher is just so damn good. However, inside of PvP, I definitely still play Titan. Now, what's so interesting is the amount of players that don't play Titan. If we actually break down the list here of all the different subclasses that folks are playing, popularity-wise, Titan subclasses make up some of the least used subclasses in the game. Like, look at my poor Sentinels. All the way there at the bottom. You've got Sunbreakers intertwined as well with Voidwalker and Arc Strider, and don't ask me why Stasis subclasses are not shown here. For some reason, this just shows light subclasses. But between both console and PC, arguably the two least used subclasses in the game is Sunbreaker and Sentinel, two Titan classes, which is probably why Bungie shipped Behemoth out as strong as they did. They wanted something to hype players up to play Titan. But since the most recent Stasis nerfs, if any of the Stasis subclasses got hit the hardest, it was Behemoth. Outside of a few broken builds that can be synergized with teammates, and yes, we will be covering that build, but today I'm mainly speaking from the perspective of a solo player. And right now, in this sandbox, it has never been a better time to be an ape with your Titan. And that's simply because of this exotic right here, Synthoceps. These exotics come with the perk Biotic Enhancements, which actually increases your melee lunge range. Not only does it improve your melee range, but it also increases the damage of your melee. Of course, when you're surrounded. Inside of PvP though, the melee range, well, that's the selling point. Because here recently, shotguns got a nerf. And even the best of shotguns, with the best stats and the best range, struggle to reach 7.5 meters. And most of them sit at around 6 to 7 meters. And some even worse than that. So 9 times out of 10, when using a shotgun, you have to follow up with a melee, which is what you see me doing here. Now, you want to know what has just as much range as shotguns now? Synthoceps. That's right, guys. This is 7 meters. I am 7 meters from less, close to 7.5 meters, and it's still locking on and giving me the melee. Now, previously, when shotguns could kill up to 8.5 meters, this was a little more difficult to do, right? You would be stopped mid-lunge, or at least killed before you can even get within proximity of your enemy. Now, though, there really is no threat, at least when it comes to closing the gap. And this lunge distance is so chaotic for your enemy that they literally lose visibility of you when you lunge at them. Synthoceps is one of the most annoying exotics to go against, simply because between latency, tick rate, Destiny 2 servers, and everything else, the enemy that's sitting there lunging back and forth at you with his melee from 7 odd meters is so difficult to keep up with that 9 times out of 10, you can't even reacquire your target when he's lunging. Now, the combinations of shotgun that I was utilizing here with Synthoceps is actually the lightweight shotgun Reese Walker. Is it the deadliest shotgun in the game? No. But by God, is it good for what I'm trying to do here? Again, I'm not trying to go for the single shotgun kill. If I get it, great. But I'm actually trying to go for the melee follow-up. And being a lightweight shotgun, this actually increases our movement speed, something in which Synthoceps needs. And for my players that are just dedicated to using Dune Marchers, you may be surprised that a lightweight weapon can make you just as mobile. And again, the strategy couldn't be clearer. Run into a group of enemies as quickly as you can. And if you know how to scroll wheel hop over here on PC, you can just skate right into a group of enemies very quickly with catapult jump, although this really only works with scroll wheel. Regular jump, I still find that strafe is the better option, but scroll wheel catapult jump is great for getting from one point to the next point, not necessarily great for positioning yourself around enemies. I actually find myself in awkward situations because of catapult jump, kind of the way in which it lifts you. It could suspend you almost in a floofy manner, similar to like warlocks, minus the ability to dodge in and out of situations like Top Tree Dawnblade. Regardless though, scroll wheel jump with catapult is still very, very good if you can get it down, just from getting from point to point on a map and positioning yourself and then using your regular jump afterwards. Again though, I still find that strafe jump on the Titan class to be better if you're just playing regularly or on controller. Regardless though, put yourself in position, get a shot off at Reese Walker, do a little bit of damage, and let Synthoceps do the rest for you. Now, my favorite subclass to rock with Synthoceps, I know a lot of people like to rock with Bottom Tree Striker. Don't get me wrong, Bottom Tree Striker is good, but I do find that the super can get shut down pretty easily, even in this sandbox. Regardless though, I find that Bottom Tree Hammers is actually one of the best subclasses in the sandbox for a number of reasons, but for Synthoceps specifically, Mortar Blast is actually one of the best melees here, as even though the damage isn't an overwhelming amount of damage, Initially, the burn damage that you apply when striking an enemy with this melee can almost one-hit kill Guardians. And of course, if you have biotic enhancements activated, it will get the one-hit kill. But this melee all by itself does around 3/4 of a Guardian's health. It does its base melee damage and then continues to do burn damage afterwards. If the Guardian dies to that melee, or pretty much anything after applying that burn, Sol Invictus procs, which causes your health to be restored. Simultaneously though, it drops a sunspot. I can't tell you how many times sunspots gets me kills, especially in something like 6v6, because a lot of times Guardians just aren't paying attention to where they're walking. The beautiful thing about sunspots is sometimes they proc on the ground, sometimes they proc on the wall or in the air. Depending on where that Guardian was when they died will spawn the sunspot, and this can mess with enemies that are moving around it. Now, of course, passing through a sunspot grants you a lot of things. It recharges your abilities faster, both your melee and your grenade. It makes your super last longer. It also increases the damage of your weapons, and every kill that you get after getting Sun Warrior results in more sunspots spawning. In my opinion, this subclass, paired with Synthoceps, paired with a lightweight shotgun to add mobility, wreaks more havoc than any other subclass in the game. On top of that, the super really is very, very good, especially in 6v6. Don't get me wrong, I loved hammers all the way back in D1. Our bio on Twitch is the last hammer titan in Destiny. I was obviously memeing when we made that bio, but considering the popularity statistics, I'm starting to wonder how many people are actually playing Sunbreaker. All around, guys, this is by far the best aggressive combination that I have played with. The neutral game, the super, the across the map melees with Synthoceps. It's really hard to combat this, especially if you are closing the gap effectively and you're cutting corners and you're staying tight when coming around and attacking enemies. The shotgun melee combo is almost instantaneous. And it's not that Synthoceps wasn't strong before, but again, shotguns countered it. But now that shotguns essentially have the same range as Synthoceps, it's fair play, baby. And the last time I really felt like Synthoceps felt this strong was actually year 1 of Destiny 2. And that was before we even had special weapons. Everybody was running around with primaries. And Synthoceps was definitely busted then. Because imagine trying to shut down a Synthoceps Titan that's running at you, and you're trying to land shots on this lunging Titan with your little scout rifle or sidearm. People could do it, but it was definitely much more difficult. At least now, though, you could shut down a Titan with a shotgun. But it is much more difficult considering the nerf there to shotgun kill range. Now, something I want to answer here about Synthoceps real quick. Number one, it does not extend the kill range of shoulder charge. None of your shoulder charge abilities have extended range. And number two, it does not stack with bottom tree striker and knockout. Knockout essentially allows you to increase your melee range when your enemy is critically wounded. It actually procs even before that. Now, the melee range is similar, close to that 7-meter mark. However, to me, it's just not as consistent as Synthoceps. Synthoceps is just so forgiving because even if you don't land a single shot on that enemy and knockout is not procced, you still get the extended melee range. And again, the added benefit of being able to combine this with bottom tree hammers is the whole reason for this. I really think this is one of the best subclasses in the game. Why it's so low on the popularity scale, I have no idea. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Titans don't have a dodge ability. That's why Behemoth really rose in popularity. Everyone was using Behemoth because of its melee dodge. A debate we've had for a very long time is, what if Twilight Garrison came back? Would you see more players playing Titan? Honestly, after playing with Synthoceps and bottom tree hammers, I'm gonna have a hard time choosing Twilight Garrison over this. Unless Twilight Garrison comes back in its pre-nerf form, back when it first dropped on us inside of Destiny 1, or they make its exotic perk even nastier. Regardless though, guys, give this a go. Find a lightweight weapon, whatever it is, Reese Walker, CQC, it doesn't matter. Throw on some Synthoceps, rock out bottom tree hammers, and ape to your heart's content. Fellas and ladies, thank you so much for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.